hate to start the video out on a sour note like this, because I'm all about positivity, all day, every day, no days off, 24/7, all positive energy, all love. I would never mention your asshole. I'm a little sad though, because Jordan released a brand new pair of Jordan 1s that were in promotion for Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and I tried to get them. I tried, because, you know, just me and Spider-Man, we're tight like that. I couldn't get it. I couldn't get it. All these fucking hype beasts and resale bots just swarmed and pillaged all of these shoe websites. These resale bots, man, they can't keep getting away with this! But enough about these shoes. Let's talk about the actual movie, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. It's been a busy year for Sony, especially with Spider-Man. If you're a Spider-Man fan, as I am, it's been a pretty good year for you. Actually, for the past year, it's been pretty good because Spider-Man Homecoming came out as Spider-Man's return to the MCU, and that's a very good movie. I think it was number 2 or number 3 of my top 10 of 2017, I don't remember. And just in 2018 alone, Spider-Man made an appearance in Infinity War, as some of you may know. And then he had his own PS4 exclusive game with Spider-Man PS4, that's what it's called, just Spider-Man PS4. And I guess Venom also technically counts. Get away, I don't really like you that much. But to finish off 2018, the year of our Lord and Savior, we got ourselves Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. This movie is really an origin story for Miles Morales, how he gets his powers, how he becomes Spider-Man, and how he learns to hone his abilities to the best of his potential. I'm not going to say too much of what it's about, so instead I'm going to start off with what people are going to notice right away, and that is the style of animation for Into the Spider-Verse. It's very resemblance of the comic books, really. There are details that are very comic book-esque, like there will be like thought bubbles popping out from these characters when they think about something. When there's an exaggerated moment, there's gonna be like a whoosh or a pow. And the way they show off Spider-Sense as well, there's like the little flashes that like ring around his head. Whereas in like the live action movies, they can't really do that, so they have to take their own little liberties and sort of do their own little things to show off Spider-Sense. But this movie, they could just be like, oh god, what is happening? And you could see like the little flares, and you'd notice that they're like, oh, he's using Spider-Sense, or Spider-Sense is activating. Oh, my Spider-Sense is tingling! But with the animation in this movie, it's not just the fact that it's vibrant and that the colors just pop and it's just so beautiful. And especially when this movie takes place at night, because New York at night is just beautiful in general. Imagine like having to draw that shit, or rather computer animated, because this movie's computer animated. It just looks so beautiful, but it also adds its own sort of personality to the movie. The animation allows for certain types of movements, and also a lot of different exaggerations for certain characters. The animation in Spider-Verse just really lends itself to the goofiness and the wackiness of this movie, because it allows itself to feel really exaggerated. It can really be humorous at times with the animation, but it doesn't take it super far to the point where you can't take this movie seriously when it's trying to be really dark and really heavy. And this movie, it's not the darkest and it's not the heaviest, but when it gets serious, it gets fucking serious. The animation just allows the movie to take a few further steps to get into like comic book wackiness, comic book goofiness that maybe a live action movie wouldn't really be able to portray in, you know, in a well-balanced way, the same way that Into the Spider-Verse does. Not to say that those live action movies aren't great, because a lot of them are. It's just that, again, this movie is able to feel really refreshing in a genre that just gets more and more saturated as each passing year goes on, especially with a character like Spider-Man, who gets constantly rebooted, or feels as though he gets constantly rebooted. The animation just lends itself to be a lot more refreshing. I just spit everywhere, oh my god. The animation just allows itself to feel more refreshing and more different and more stylized for people who are fans of these movies, who go to see these movies all the time, and, you know, just want something a little more different. The voice acting in this movie is also really incredible. Shameik Moore as Miles Morales is really good. I can't remember him from other movies. I feel as though he is in other movies. I'm just blanking on what else he's in, but this is definitely a breakout role for him. Hailee Steinfeld is also in this movie as Gwen Stacy. Nicolas Cage is in this movie. I didn't know that until the end credits. And also, shout out to my boy, Nick Miller. Oh my god, he secured that Peter Parker bag after New Girl. So fucking happy for Nick Miller. Jake Johnson, you're the best. I love you. Shout out to my boy Jake Johnson, Evanston, represent. Voice acting just all across the cast list is really great, and it's also really funny. This movie is really, really funny at times. There are a lot of callbacks that are reminiscent to the Raimi trilogy, to the 2 amazing Spider-Man movies, and to even Homecoming, the MCU, and all of that. But there are a lot of humorous moments in this movie that are just genuinely funny without even mentioning like a Spider-Man reference or referencing pop culture. What makes this movie really hit home for me, it's not the action, it's not the animation style as good as it is. I mean, look at this shot, man, oh my god. But anyways, it's not just that, it's not just the voice acting, but it's just how this movie gets the character of Spider-Man right. And as someone who has loved Spider-Man for as long as I can remember, it's just so good to see these movies and these different iterations of Spider-Man just get him right. With Spider-Man PS4, with Homecoming, with the little amount of time that he was in Infinity War. And in this movie, even though they introduced so many different Spider-Man people, things, with all their different quirks, like with Spider-Ham, he's basically like a Looney Tunes version of Peter Parker. There's like Diva Spider-Man, there's like Batman 1930s Spider-Man. With all of those different spider people things, including Miles Morales, they just get the core values of Spider-Man right. And it's those core values that really make him resonate more with people than the action or his powers. He'll always do what he can to make sure that his morals aren't compromised, no matter the situation he's in. No matter how many times he gets his ass kicked by a villain, no matter how many people betray him, no matter how many times he gets kicked out of his apartment, he's always going to do what he can to be the best, to be as happy, to be as optimistic as possible. He just, in the end, wants to be a good guy, and he wants to live a regular life. But it just so happens that he has these extraordinary powers and these extraordinary obstacles in his way that he just has to get through them. And that's, again, what makes Spider-Man Spider-Man. And that's what makes this movie as great as it is, because it gets those core values. It shows them off in a way that's unique to Miles Morales' situation. And Miles Morales' progression as a character in this movie, it's so compelling and it's so rewarding. It just makes you more invested and makes you want to root for this character who just wants to do the right thing. And that's the same thing with Peter Parker throughout all of his years. That's the same thing with Gwen Stacy and all the other Spider-Man people in this movie. But there's just one thing that's always constant with Spider-Man, no matter what version that is. It's his unwavering moral compass. He's always going to manage to get back up and do what's good. And this movie, it's just really refreshing to see that be portrayed through a different Spider-Man with Miles Morales. One thing I do have to say about this movie that I was not the most fond of was that the character of Kingpin in this movie, Kingpin as the villain, he's just kind of eh. It's not that big of an issue to the point where it's a deterrent of the movie because he doesn't have that much of a spotlight, but I do kind of wish that the villain was a little bit more memorable, that Wilson Fisk was a little bit more memorable, or that they just had a different villain entirely. I guess the best comparison that I can make to this movie is that what the Lego Batman movie is for people who have been lifelong fans of Batman and people who are new to Batman. Into the Spider-Verse does the same thing that the Lego Batman movie does, except for lifelong Spider-Man fans and people who are new to Spider-Man as well. So as a lifelong Spider-Man fan, I'm very, very satisfied. This has been a fucking amazing year for Spider-Man. I think this movie opens up a lot of different avenues for Sony to take with Spider-Man, whether that be a sequel to this with Miles Morales, whether they be focusing on like Spider-Gwen or Spider-Man Noir or Spider-Ham or Diva Spider-Man, or they just tackle a brand new storyline as well in the same animated form. But as long as Sony is able to tell really compelling stories while also being able to show off what Spider-Man is really all about within himself, then I'm here for it all. I'm feeling a 9.5 out of 10 for Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. This isn't just a great animated movie. This isn't just a great Spider-Man movie. This is a great movie that's just well written, very funny, well animated, well voice acted. It's just an added bonus that this movie is also a really great Spider-Man movie. So with that, thank you guys for watching as always. Make sure you subscribe to keep yourselves updated with more content. Make sure you leave a thumbs up if you enjoyed what you saw. Leave a comment on if you saw Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Do you think it's the best Spider-Man movie of all time? Do you think it's the worst Spider-Man movie of all time? As always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.